Hello and welcome to my Oaks Park Recreation in Parkitect. This amusement park is about 3 miles south of downtown Portland, Oregon, and it's 117 years old and opened in 1905. So it's one of the oldest continually operating amusement parks in the US. And I was looking on Wikipedia, it actually started as a trolley park, but some of the locals didn't like that, and one quote called it an immoral place with more drunkenness than they'd ever seen in the city. So the park started out with a Shoot the Chutes ride into a small man-made lake, and also had a boat dark ride and a fun house. But there was this really large flood in 1948 called the Van Port flood in Portland, and it submerged this whole park for 30 days and destroyed most of those old rides. And it also destroyed the town of Vanport. There used to be an old looping steel coaster. It was a Pinfari model called the Looping Thunder, but that closed in 2017, and they opened Adrenaline Peak, which is this new Gerstlauer Eurofighter. It's a bit more exciting. Watch it ride through here. And this was the first thing I built for the park, and then I ended up recreating everything else around it. And it's even got the inclined brake run like the real thing. Happy I was able to add that. Take a look at another ride through at night. They did install this pretty cool, colorful lighting package. So Oaks Park on this side is bordered by a nice bike path along a railway. This nice train that Astrotron made. And then there's a wildlife refuge here, which has like herons and egrets and even some beavers. There's also a little bit of farming. Besides the roller coaster, it's got a little family train that loops through this forest. And this is also a park that the public can access with areas for like events and picnics. Come in at the entrance, it's pretty simple, and then there's just some like shops and lots of fair games. They added this disco ride in the 2010s, which is more of just a one loop one, but this is fairly close. And they don't actually have a double Ferris wheel, but one of those where you can hold the locking bar and go upside down. Portland's known for its food carts, so I added a nice cart from the workshop. And then Oaks Park has a lot of spinning flat rides, more than I could actually fit here, but they've got quite a few that are recreated here, as well as a little hopper and then a little tugboat, which is actually this exact model. And they've got one just little family coaster with this fun rainbow car. Their other big thrill ride was the Screaming Eagle, but it actually closed in around 2017. There was a deadly accident on a similar model in Ohio, so they've just replaced it this year with something called Atmosphere, which is like 10% bigger and black and green. Besides that, you've got a Ferris wheel, a very historic carousel from the early 1900s, some bumper cars, fun little go-kart track, and they actually have some bike parking here for anybody coming in from the city on their bike. And then there is a rock and roll themed and a spinning ride as well. And this rain is very appropriate for a park in Portland. The other thing that the park is really well known for is this building, which houses the roller skating rink. And since the early 1900s, it said, "Oaks Rink Roller Skating, exercise delightful pleasure, open every afternoon and evening, learn to skate, lessons free." So it's got one of the largest like Maplewood rinks in the country, and it's the largest and oldest rink I think in America, and it's the only rink still in the world with a working live music from a pipe organ that they put in there in 1926, and it's like up in the ceiling above where you're skating. And that flood I mentioned earlier, they actually put big steel drums under the floor after that flood when they did their first rebuild in the 40s, and so there's some subsequent floods in 64 and 96, and this area, the whole floor could just float, and so it survived both those floods. And then next to that is this building where the Rose City Rollers for roller derby compete. And then there's just some storage and this radio tower in the parking lot. The Willamette's a little bigger than shown here. It's about a quarter-mile wide, and there's lots of boating and kayaking and lots of houseboats along this part of the river. So across from Oaks Park is Willamette River City Park, and there's a boat ramp and just a tennis court and a field that has a dog park as well. And just coming back across from this view, take another look. So not the biggest park, but very charming, and definitely kind of a local classic way to spend the summer. Can watch one more ride on Adrenaline Peak. So thanks for taking a look, and hope you enjoyed seeing this recreation of Oaks Park. And catch you next time. And just a little bonus content. I did recreate that Pinfari coaster layout. Getting the supports and everything else right didn't seem quite worth it with how Track Edit kept glitching out. But you can see it's sort of got this fun turnaround. The classic very tight Pinfari loop, and then on the right backside there's just kind of like 4 levels of track stacked, which looked kind of neat in person before they tore it down. And you can see compared to the new plot line, it's a much smaller coaster. And while we just watch this go around again, one other fun fact about Oaks Park is that it actually was the location where they filmed Free Willy. It's like the adventure park that the whale was at, and the front of the skating rink was the front of the whale tank, and then they filmed the actual tank scenes in Mexico. Thanks again.